Good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, and it's a pleasure to me. I hope that you can pick up everything that I have to explain to you, and if you have any questions, please interrupt me. If you don't understand my accent, please do it. So I will try to do as best as I can. Okay, so as Axel told us, I'm from Brazil, and we are farmers back home. I'm going to start talking a little bit about Brazil. Brazil is a large country. Actually, it's the fifth biggest country, largest country in the world. Our population is about 210 million in 2015, and we produce pretty much the whole thing, the biggest amount of crop production in South America. And Brazil is very important. It's an important player for agriculture. We are the second in soybeans, third in corn production, and fifth for cotton, always behind the US. So our agricultural system is pretty much divided in 5 regions. So we have here, the north part of Brazil here. So this is pretty much the Amazon rainforest, the whole thing right here. This is Mato Grosso, the state I am from, and I'm very proud to be born and raised there. So here we have the south region, this is the southeast, and then the northeast. And they're pretty much divided by characteristics regarding climate, topography, soil, nature, vegetation, and agriculture use as well. And in the last 30 years, when people moved from actually southern Brazil to the Midwest, where we have Mato Grosso, Goiás, and Mato Grosso do Sul, we improved in about 5-fold our agriculture production. So, our major factors that affect our productivity. First of all, our weather. So Brazil pretty much, we are in the tropics, so we have very high temperatures, and also our day length, it's shorter than you guys have here during summertime. And also, we are directly affected by the El Nino. So it changes the way our rains work. So like this year, right now, we are having La Nina. So as I told some of you, our planting season is kind of late right now, and we are supposed, the rain is supposed to be done earlier because of the La Nina. Also, our soils, we have low levels of fertility, low pH, low organic matter, and we have a lot of problems with erosion. Even though it's kind of flat, we have some problems because the soil is kind of, I would say it's a little bit sandy. And also, insects are a huge problem because we don't have snow. So we have no way to stop the insects, so they go all year long. And we are, unfortunately, the country that applies the biggest amount of pesticides in the world. And also we have problems with resistant weeds, the primary amaranthus as you have here, and the transportation. I'm going to blow your mind now. This is our railroad system, and that's US. That's huge. Actually, the only one this one from Cuiabá to here, it's already working. But, those are just projects that I don't really know when it's going to be done. I'm not sure. So that makes our price lower in where we are, because we are really in the middle, in the heart of it, as Axel said. So that's a huge problem that we are going to need to deal with for the next years. So, where are the major crops produced in Brazil? We call it the Cerrado. That's the biome that comprehends the biggest part of the country. So here we have the Amazon, and here this is the Cerrado. And this is how our natural vegetation looks like. It's not high, it's not thick. It's kind of easy to get in through it. So when my grandpa bought the farm, it was pretty much like this. So he needed to put everything down, and he used a big chain that goes attached to 2 tractors and goes all the way, and then it goes all the way back, kind of just putting down. So then You need to put together, throw fire on it. So it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of people, a lot of effort, and a lot of money. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the characteristics that makes it good for agriculture. And first of all, I'm going to talk about the weather. That's what makes us, it makes us fortunate to do it. So this is how it works. We are in opposite ways of you guys because we are in the southern hemisphere. So our winter is pretty much June, July, and August, and we pretty much have no rain. So we have like a very dry season between like 3-4 months in the middle of the year. So we start our planting season in September and it goes all the way. So we call it 16, 17, 15, 16 agriculture a year. So our agriculture year takes 2 years. And also, you can see the temperature is pretty much flat. It doesn't change a lot, but they're pretty high. They're close to above the 80s and 90s, so it's it's tropical. And so here I have the comparison between Primavera do Leste, that's my city, and Lamberton. So you can see how the temperature changes, and even the rainfall. We pretty much we get the double of rainfall you have here during the year because you have the snow as well. And this is how our growing season works in Brazil. So I got here 2 years. So this is how we do. We start with soybeans by the end of September, and we try to have it harvested in 90 days. But we start so we start very early, usually in irrigated systems because we don't have rain enough in September. And then we try to have it done by January, and then we do cotton as an off-season corn, sorry. So we have the off-season corn here, and cotton, it works in a different way because we try to divide the farm in 2 halves. So we do 1 half just soybeans, and then we may do corn as an off-season or a second crop. And cotton, we start in December and goes all the way to August. It takes us a long time. But also, some people in Mato Grosso, they do cotton as a second crop and not corn. Because it's kind of hard to have corn in Brazil. Our prices are not very good. And we are too far away from the port. So it makes it lower.
Lucas,
yeah?
Do you use cover crops there?
Yes, we do. We have cover crops, and we try to have the cover crops between this period. So for soybeans, it's kind of hard because we don't have rain here. So in the places we have soybeans this year, and we are not going to have corn as a second crop, we do cover crops. So we cover it because we still have rain enough to have this cover crop grown, and then we start soybeans over the cover crops. And for cotton, we do it too because we have it done by August. So then we seed the cover crops here, and we can wait till December. So we are going to have at least 2.5 months with a good amount of rain. So it makes us possible to have a cover crops. This year, 2017, we're going to have 100% of our farmland covered with cover crops. This is going to be the first year that we pretty much have the whole thing. And here is a comparison between our growing season and yours. So your growing season here is pretty tight. You only go from April to October, and then you get a lot of snow. So, as I said before, our soils. Sorry?
Before you go any farther,
Yeah.
what is your rotation then? If you follow cotton with cotton, or?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. So, as I was telling you, our soils were a huge problem in the early 70s because they're not fertile at all. So then some researchers and scientists, they went to the Cerrado to try to make agriculture there, because in southern Brazil we didn't have places and we didn't have more space to have soybeans, and we needed to increase our soybean production. The 30% are all oxysols, and then we have the RG soils and the Neil soils. Those Neil soils, I would say they are just sandy soils, but we also can do agriculture, but they're more sensible for droughts, you know. So some people do. I think it's kind of craziness, but you know, some people do it. Like we have another farm that we only have cattle, and that's very, very sandy. Like you don't believe how sandy that is, but you know, for pasture it works well. So this is how it looks like. It doesn't look very productive, and it is not. But you know, in the early 70s, we learned how to make it work. So they're very weather and deep soils, and they are all made pretty much of iron and aluminum oxides. The clay content can vary from 15 to 80%, and they're very well drained. So it means sometimes we get a rain in the night before, and 5 or 6 hours after that, we can go with the tractor in the field. You know, it's going to be still wet, but you know, it's kind of easy to work with. And they're pretty interesting because it drains very well, but it keeps the moisture. So, but okay, if it rains like 10 days in a row, of course it's going to be just like a swimming pool. And the pH is about 4 and 5.5. In some places you can have pH lower than that. So it needs it demands a lot of limestone. So we use calcium and magnesium carbonate in rates of 0.5 to 2.5 tons per acre. And some places we need to do more than that. It's kind of takes a lot of work.
So how often do you apply your limestone?
We usually, when you just buy the farm, they do like a massive amount of it, like 5 tons per acre. And so then we used to do each 3 years, but we do like 0.5 tons per acre. So each 2 or 3 years we need to apply some limestone just to keep the pH. We try to keep it between 6 and 6.5 for our crop production.
Just a question.
Yep.
You have a combination of calcium and magnesium for planting. We call it dolomite in the French system. I wonder if you have that too.
Yeah,
It contains the calcium and magnesium.
Yeah, we do, but we have more problems with magnesium than calcium. So we try to buy more the limestone and magnesium limestone. So that's why. So, but sometimes it depends, and sometimes the price is kind of better, and you have no problem with magnesium, so you can buy the calcium one. So it depends a lot. And we used to take our cotton to the port, and then we come back with our trucks full of loaded with limestone. So they're going cotton, limestone, cotton, limestone. They do it pretty much the whole year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our major crops in the Cerrado, so you have a better idea of how we do. Our major crops are pretty much corn, soybeans, and cotton. So this is our corn belt, actually corn country, I would say. So here we have as a first crop. So people start like in maybe late August, because like in southern Brazil, their weather is a little bit different from ours. They don't get the drought that we have for the winter. They have lower temperatures, but they don't have the drought. And here is where we have as a second crop. So you can see that in the state of Mato Grosso, we don't have as a first crop, pretty much. Those are actually pasture lands. Those places here, we have a lot of pasture land, so they do the corn for silage, those kind of things. And this is the second crop, is pretty much for grains. So you can see that it's very concentrated in the Cerrado. So we have the Cerrado here.
So, say it again, when do you plant the first crop and when do you plant the second, more or less?
Okay, the first crop would be done by the same time we do soybeans. So it would be in September in the south, you could start late August. So because they have more rain. So, but we don't do it in Mato Grosso anymore because we have too much rain during summer, and we have a lot of pests that can affect the corn yield. And even though, as I was saying, the corn price doesn't help us, so it's way more interesting. You have soybeans first, then you have you have corn afterwards. So that's why people do. And some people do cotton as a second crop as well, that you're going to see it later. This is our soybean belt. So pretty much the same thing. You have the Cerrado here, the whole thing. But in the south, we have a lot of soybeans because their weather and their soils are a little bit more similar to yours is here. They have, better soils. It keeps the warmth, and they have way longest days for summer because they are under like South Africa. So they're actually the tropics crossing right here. So this is tropical. This is kind of, I don't know the word for the weather under the tropics, but so their weather is different. So they can have very good soybean production here. But the problem is, in the years of El Nino, they're directly affected by it. So they have like 3 good years of soybeans, then they have like 3 drought years, and then after that they have like 2 years of too much rain. So the soybeans, they just get rotten in the field. So it's pretty hard to do agriculture in southern Brazil. They depend a lot of the weather, way more than us.
But what is more productive, in the south or in the center or in the north?
Okay, let's take a normal year.
Mm-hmm.
In the south, they can heat for soybeans like 100 bushels per acre easily, without any problem. And for us, we are always about 55, 60 bushels per acre for the beans, and even for the corn. In some places in southern Brazil, they get the same yield for corn you get in the U.S., but they are like 2 or 3 cities, very, very specific places, because they are above 3,000 feet high, so they have their temperature works more similar to yours. And this is our cotton belt. It's more specific. You can see that you almost don't have it in Brazil in the south because they have rain during winter. So we are pretty much in the Mato Grosso, and we call it Mato Piba. That's the place that's from Maranhão, Tocantins, Piauí, and Bahia. So there are 4 states that they make this place, and they have a massive cotton production right here. But their soils are sandy, but they learned how to make it work better. So cotton is way more specific, and I'm going to talk some numbers about it, and you see that how specific it is in Brazil.
Do you guys irrigate?
We do. We do. Here, they have, like for cotton, they have a lot of irrigated areas, like a lot. So they have good rivers, and they have a big irrigated crop production, not only for corn, but for cotton, they use it very well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Brazil and US, just to have the comparison between both countries. So for the beans, US is the number 1. You produce about 117 million tons of soybeans. You have about 82 million acres of soybeans, and the yield is about 52 bushels per acre, your average yield. Brazil is the second. We are pretty much tied in soybeans. Our production is about 114 million tons, and our area is a little bit bigger than yours, but our yield is, we are 2 bushels per acre behind, so we're going to get there. So this is the graph to show the difference. So we're pretty much tied. It's not a lot of difference, but now you see, I like to talk about corn because that's huge. You produce 360 million tons of corn. This is pretty much what Brazil do between soybeans and corn. Actually, it's more than that. So you're huge going for corn production. you have about 73,000 million acres, your yield is about 184 bushels per acre. And Brazil, we produce not even 100 million tons and 38 million acres, so our area is smaller and our yield is just unbelievable. It's pretty much the half of it. So here you see the difference. So
Why that difference?
actually, you mean by yield or
Yield.
because the yield pretty much are weather conditions, and a lot of our corn is not done by like a real like professional farmers. Some people, they just do, you know, as a, oh, I'm gonna have some corn, you know, or I'm just gonna do it as a rotation system, so they don't really take care of it, so they have like, you know, low yields, and it goes through our numbers. So, you know, if you take the average, like each state average, like the state of Mato Grosso, it's way better than Brazil's average, and even the south. In the south, they have a way better average yield for corn than the rest of the country. So it's pretty much because some people don't do it as a main crop. Like even for us at the farm, corn for us is like a secondary kind of crop, because our first crop, our main crop is cotton. And the soybeans, we just cannot live without it, you know. And then we do, so that's why we do corn always as a second crop. And sometimes we can miss some rain by the end of the corn cycle, so it makes the yield lower too, because it's done as a second crop. So cotton. US is the number 3 in the world for cotton production. You have about 4.5 million, you produce 4.5 million tons of cotton. Your area is about 11 million acres, and your yield is 890 pounds per acre. Brazil actually is the 5th, with 1.5 million tons of cotton. Our area is 2.3 million acres, so it's very specific. But the yield, it's 1,400 pounds per acre. And I just put the state of Mato Grosso here to see the difference. So we have like 67% of Brazil's cotton production in just one state. But our yield is a little bit lower than the Brazil's yield, the whole country yield, because a lot of people in Mato Grosso, they do cotton as a second crop, so they have the same missing rain problem by the end of the season. And then if you go, the country yield is a little bit higher. So here pretty much the comparison between US and Brazil again. So you're way bigger than we are, without a doubt. We're gonna get you guys sometime.
You know who the world leaders are, 1 and 2?
China, and the second one, I'm not sure, but I'll tell you. I know that somewhere in Asia.
Maybe India.
Yeah.
Egypt is very good
India.
too.
India probably.
Yeah, and Pakistan is the 4th. So yeah, that's China, India, US, Pakistan, and Brazil. So right now, I'm going to talk a little bit our farm, our place there. You know, this is not the way the whole country do. It may change it from here to there. You know how agriculture works. But you know, I'm going to talk more specifically about our business and the way we do it. So we have pretty much 35,000 acres of farmland, and our main activities are cotton, soybeans, corn, and we also have livestock. I'm going to talk just a little bit about our livestock. And so now I'm going to answer your question, Steve. So we used to do 6 years with crops. So we work like this. We used to do tillage and do the whole soil amendment with limestone, phosphorus, and sulfur. Our soils are very poor in sulfur. So, and then after that, after the tillage, we would do cotton and have cover crops, and cotton and cover crops, and cotton and cover crops. Then, after 3 years, we would do soybeans, no till, after cotton, and no fertilizer at all. You can have a very good yield just with the fertilizer left from cotton. And then same thing, cover crops, soybeans, cover crop, soybeans, cover crop, and then tillage again after those 6 years. So we used to do a rotation. So 3 years of cotton, 3 years of soybeans. But between those two soybeans, we could have an off-season cotton or an off-season corn as a second crop. So we could have like cotton, 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 soybeans, corn, soybeans, corn, soybeans. So we could take, those are 6, we could take 9. So 9 crops in 6 years. And also, we have one place that we have problems with nematodes, so we've been doing just corn and cover crops for the last 5 or 6 years. And then in that place we have summer corn. So we do corn in December. We plant in December to get the whole season of rain, so then we can harvest it so it doesn't get the drought by the end of it.
So you had a problem with nematodes, are they the cotton, a problem with the cotton, or you have soybean cyst nematode, or which nematodes?
The cotton. That was an area that was a place that we leased it for another farmer, and they had cotton for about like 10 years, just cotton, 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 cotton. So it made a big difference. So then when we got it back, we were like, okay, so we need to do something different. We need to improve it because we cannot do cotton here. It's just creating it. So then, the tillage, we used to do till at all. So right now we are doing just strip till in some places after, so we measure the compaction. We measure the compaction, and when it's too compact, we do just a strip till. But we are going through it now, so to do no till at all in the whole farm. Everyone around us are not doing tillage anymore. We actually have some farmers that they've been doing, but just corn and soybeans for this last 17 or 18 years without till at all. So, but it's kind of tricky. We are trying to figure out a way, because cotton makes the biggest difference in the system. So we are starting to work on it.
Hey, Lucas.
Yep.
So what do you use for cover crops, and how do you terminate it?
Okay, for cover crops, we use millet. I don't know if you know millet. So we use millet because it grows fast. In 40 days, 35 days, you can have a very nice cover. And also, right now we are working with brachiaria. It's a pasture. It's a
Forage.
Yeah, it's a forage. So, but it's very good for cattle. But brachiaria is a little bit trickier because it needs a little bit more rain, and it's more sensible to seed it. So we are trying to get through it, but it's better than millet. The good thing about millet is because of the speed growth of it. Like in 35 days, you're going to be ready for it.
How do you terminate it?
You mean?
You kill it, or?
Yeah, we kill it, just glyphosate. And we try to kill it maybe 30 days before planting, because to make it easier. Or if you get late and you kill it like 10 days, 15 days before planting, it's going to be a mess because the discs are not going to cut it. So you have 2 ways: or you kill it 40 days before planting, or you don't kill it. You just go with the planters, like you kill it in the day that you're going to plant, and then it's going to die after planting. So there are 2 ways. Better not do 15 days before that. We've done that once. That wasn't nice. It happens sometimes.
Did you ever graze millet with your cattle?
No. Well, for example, we had a very big drought 2 years ago, and our pasture just died. So, and then we seeded millet just to put our cows on it. So it was like a emergency kind of millet, but we usually do it well. And then our livestock, we have like a special breed that's getting very popular in Brazil. It's the Nelore. That's an Indian cow. It comes from India, and the Aberdeen Angus. So, and we call it industrial breeding. Believe it or not, that's the name of the breed, industrial breeding. I will show you a picture of that. But the good thing about it, because the Angus, it's too hot our weather is too hot, so the Angus have a hard time there. And the Nelore is very good on warm weather. So we put 2 things together. So Angus is heavier, and Nelore, they can go through the hard weather. So it makes it perfect because so they can live in the warm place, and also they are gonna weigh more than the Indian cows. So it's unbelievable, it's awesome.
And the meat quality might be better too.
It is, it is. Yeah, we have a problem because we give them cotton seeds sometimes, and some places they don't buy meat that was the cattle was fed with cotton seed anymore because it leaves a little bit of taste in the meat. I don't feel it, but some people do. Seriously. So I'm going to talk about the agronomics of our 3 crops, and I'm going to start with cotton because it's our main crop, and you see that's kind of mind-blowing. Cotton's pretty crazy. So we used to do like the strip till, and then we do the correction. So we do the soil amendment. We usually apply about, this is actually, I took those numbers for what was done this year for the places. So those are real numbers. So we applied 1,300 pounds per acre of calcium carbonate, and then we seeded millet in the rate of 25 pounds per acre. Then we came with cotton planting it, so we used 35 inches for row space, and our pot with 31,000 plants per acre. And then our fertilization strategy. So before planting, before we plant a cover crop, we also do 200 pounds per acre of 104600. Is it MAP? Yeah, is that MAP?
It's MAP.
And then we do sulfur as well. And this is a commercial name. It's called MIB 87. It's just a micronutrient complex. So it's copper, magnesium, sulfur, zinc, and we apply it. And then we do the side dresses. So we try to do space in 25 days. So we do 3 side dresses for cotton. And this year we are going to do 4. And we are going to apply a little bit more of fertilizer as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How you decide how much to apply?
It's depending on the soil analysis.
Soil analysis,
Yeah.
okay.
And so then we take the exportation.
Mhm.
So it's pretty much.
Okay.
But like for cotton, like I have here now. So we have the foliar fertilizations. So it depends on the speed growth. Sometimes you're missing a little bit of rain, and you see that the speed growth of cotton is getting a little bit lower. So we kind of, okay, so let's just buy some nitrogen extra and let's do it to keep this plant alive. Cotton is so you need to be pretty much every day in the field to, it doesn't have like a recipe. And then we also do about 8 times the growth regulator. So we use Cormiquac. It's the same ones as you have here, the picks, but it's called Tuval. But it's pretty much the same. And we split in 3 or 4 applications. So it's, as I said, it depends on the speed growth. So sometimes you do a fertilization to keep the plant growing, and then it starts to grow way too fast. Then you need to stop it. So you need to be there every day.
And when is the first time that you apply the growth regulator?
We applied about 35 days. So it was going to be right before the first flower.
Okay.
Actually, first a button.
But
Botão. Yeah, the button. So because the plant growth is going to start to go up, and then we keep track of the growth, and then we do the next.
A question about the pH, Lucas.
Sorry?
The pH, when you just do the amendment with calcium and magnesium, how high does the pH get when you plant?
6.5.
Oh,
We try to keep it above 6, so 6.5, but we never get in 7. It would need way too much, so we try to keep it. But if it's like 5.8, is still fine. But maybe for the next year we are gonna do like 0.5 tons per acre.
Based on that, basically when they make the amendment, they consider some chemical analysis and the amendments done to to what level you want to rise the pH. Yes.
And a little bit of our agronomics, our weeds, bugs, and pest control. So for cotton, it's crazy. We spray it about 38 times in 1 year, pretty much 30 times the whole field and 8 times just the borders because of this bug. It can kill your whole crop, but the thing is, you just need to do the borders because they make short flies, so they don't get through the whole field. So you just you need to keep them away from the borders. So it's kind of they are easy to control, but it takes a lot of effort. And so for our weed control, we do 2 herbicides before planting, 1 pre-emergent, 2 post-emergent, and 1 direct spraying just in the row. And then we used to do the weeding with hands, so we had like a team of guys just going there and take all the weeds. But it's getting too expensive to hire people, so we stopped to do that. Fungicide, we do about 9 times the spraying for fungicides, and our bugs control, as I said, it's crazy. It's about 22 to 25 times. Even though we have BT cotton, it's still, we need to keep track of everything and control the insects.
You got a picture of an ear or a bollworm there. Do you have the resistant bollworms, the BT resistant bollworms in your area yet? That caterpillar you got?
Yeah.
Isn't that a cotton bollworm or?
Yeah, it is.
Corn earworm?
Yeah, it is the
Yeah, so
Helicoverpa.
you have the resistant, there's some of those that are resistant to BT or anything.
Yes.
Those there?
Yes.
So BT doesn't work?
Yeah, we do. So that's why, even though we have the BT cotton, we keep track of it because we may have some resistant ones. So it doesn't. Sometimes you need to do it like with a different kind of pesticide to try to keep track. So yes, we have. So for soybeans, our agronomics, pretty much the same thing. So for soybeans, we are doing no-till for some years already. And same thing for soil amendment. It's going to depend on the pH and the soil analysis. Then we come with 18 inches, so it's pretty tight. And our population is between 100 and 200 plants per acre. And also our fertilization is everything done before planting. So we do 400 pounds per acre of actually was 0,18,18. And the sulfur gran, it's a commercial name for just a sulfur complex. And we do the potassium chloride, everything before planting. So after we plant soybeans, we don't do any fertilization anymore, any side grass. And the same thing, we have a big problem with the same caterpillar. So our caterpillars in Brazil, they go on all the crops. They go on soybeans, corn, and cotton as well. So we don't have specific bugs anymore. They're just all around. And actually, the whitefly, the silverleaf whitefly is a big problem for us, but it depends on the weather. So in dry years, we have a lot of them. In wet years, we don't have them a lot. So it depends on the weather. And we are kind of going two ways, because if we have a drier year, you're going to have the silver whiteflies. And if you have a year that's raining more than it should, we're going to have a problem with rust. So it's kind of hard to make a balance of it. So that's why it takes us that much of fungicides. The irrigated one takes less because we started early in the season, so the pressure of the rust is not strong yet, and then we harvest it early in the season. But you can see like the mid-cycle ones, so they're going to be the last ones that we're going to harvest. We're going to harvest them in April, so we don't do second crop on those mid-cycle soybeans. So it takes us about 4 or 5 times. Last year we tried to plant like in February soybeans in the central pivot to take the seeds out of it. It took us 8 applications of fungicide. So it wasn't worth, because we didn't get good seeds, and our costs were just unbelievable. So we're not doing that anymore. And for bugs control, the conventional one, it takes us 10 applications in an average 10 applications of insecticides, and we have BT soybeans in Brazil. I think it's the 5th year right now, and it works perfectly for caterpillars. It's been working gratefully, but we also have the bugs and we have the problem with the whitefly. So, at least we can reduce acid by the half of it for insecticides.
Are all the applications due to some resistance, or are they multiply that fast?
They multiply that fast, but we have a very good agronomist consultant that goes to our farm every week, and so by the beginning of the year we try to buy as different kind of insecticides. So we have like a portfolio of 8 or 9 different insecticides, and we try to switch them all the time to select the resistant caterpillars or bugs. So, and we've been doing pretty good on it, but some people around, they just don't care. They just buy the same one and they just do 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So it's kind of hard. If you take care, sometimes your neighbor doesn't. That's the way it is. So, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about our corn. As I said, corn for us, after we have cotton, corn and soybeans became easy. So we do our fertilizations, we do before planting. So we try to do it sometimes, like as I said, we combine and we plant in the same day in the same field. So sometimes we are combining planting and fertilizing in the same day in one same spot. So it takes a little bit of job. And we do 18 inches too for corn, and we use about 35,000 plants per acre. And then we also do the sulfur, and we do 2 side dresses of 20-0-20. We try to make it between V4 and V6. So then after that, we just let it go. And as a second crop for corn, we don't have a lot of problems with bugs and pests. It's kind of fine. So we just do the weed control. We just do a pre-planting and 1 post-emergent. And for pest control, just 2 times fungicide, because as we do as a second crop, this corn is going to get a nice drought by the end of it. So you're not going to have a lot of moisture to have problems with pests. And for insects, same thing, but we do more because of this bug. I don't know the name of it, but like our corn is BT corn, so we don't have problems with caterpillars. So here it's a picture of our livestock. So those are the Nilari, so they're from India, the white cows, and actually this is the calf coming from. So our cows are all Nilari. Then we buy the Angus seeming from the US, and then we inseminate them artificially, and this is how it comes up. So you see, it looks like an Angus, but you see that the legs are a little bit longer and they are like thinner, but the whole body weighs way more than that. So you can see those are 8-month-old. So then they get pretty, and we take them out of the cows, and we put them on a feedlot and we keep them for 10 months, and then we kill it by 17, 18 months, and they're unbelievably heavy. So it's getting very popular in Brazil, but not for like people that like cattlemen. They have the Nilari because they have like a extensive pasture. So this is more like farmers that have farmland and they want to have cows. So that's getting more popular in like those kind of farmers like we are. So we have the farm as our main thing, and then we also can have the cattle is a more like a professional way to do it.
Are the calves always black?
Yeah, well, sometimes they get little spots, but they're pretty much always black. But we get about 50% of our cattle or our calves black, because the artificial insemination gets about 50%, and then we put the bulls on it, and the balls are white, because we need the females to put back. So we need both. We need the black ones and we need the white ones every year. So I'm going to show you some pictures of my farm back there. So this is during summer and this is during winter. It looks a little bit different from 2 times a year. It changes pretty fast. Actually, this picture was right before I come here. So here we are doing millet seeding. So we are incorporating millet here, and that's the big chain I was talking to you about. I'm going to show you a picture of that. So this is the closest picture of the operation, and this is how the chain looks like. It's just a huge chain. It has those little things that it just turns a little bit, so it doesn't incorporate very deep. You just need to shake it a little bit to incorporate it. And that's actually my dad. We are planting soybeans on a corn field without till at all. So this is how, and then there we have like a river down there. Then actually this is on a central pivot. So this is another picture just to show, or the disc cutting the cover crops. This is my grandpa, the owner of everything. And we are doing, it was before Christmas, so we were finishing our cotton planting. So this was over soybeans, and then we did no-till. So we just left the land for 4 or 5 months, and then we came with cotton after that. And that's another picture from the place. And this is, so here it was over, actually we are doing here, we are planting corn over soybeans. And this is how the millet looks like after we kill it. So it becomes like a carpet, and then we can go through it. You know, the first years we started to do cover crops, it took us a little energy and effort to make it work, but right now we figure it out. And even though sometimes we need to put weight, like more weight in the planters just to make it go deeper, because sometimes it can show a little resistance. So this is we were combining back in the farm. And we have that much of combines because we harvest soybeans in January. That's like the real summer, and it rains pretty much every day. So we are always in a hurry, because sometimes it can rain for like a week long, like rain like crazy, and then you can just get your soybeans just rotten. It happened sometimes. And this is cool. So we were combining there, and we were planting corn in the same time, in the same field. So this is how it works. So that's why we need that much of people too. And this is over brachiaria, so it's the other cover crop that I was talking about. It looks kind of nasty, I know, but if you come here with a little shovel, you see that the seeds are right here. They get like pretty nice, and the good thing about the cover crops, it keeps the temperature. So this picture, the next one is very interesting. Look at the temperature difference. So here we didn't have any cover crops, so the temperature, it was about like 5 centimeters, was almost 120 degrees, and here where we have millet was about 90. So it was almost 30 degrees of difference just because of the cover crop. It makes a huge difference. So by the time you plant on a covered place, it works better, like to the crop to get started. It's way easier. So here is just the soybeans coming out after cotton. It doesn't look really nice, but it works. And here's the cotton field, pretty much during the reproductive part of it. And look how flat it is, so it's pretty good for land. This is a little bit of corn. Here we are doing breeding, so it wasn't a central pivot, so we had a contract with Monsanto to do the breeding, and it was doing a fertilization. Crop dusting, I don't know what we were doing. We could be doing fungicide, growth regulator, we could be doing everything together too. So some pictures of the cotton, how it gets during winter time. I love that. And this is how it looks like snow.
So cotton's a perennial. You kill this, you kill the crop off before you harvest it
The
then?
cotton,
Yeah.
you actually the first ones that we kill it to start harvest, but by the end of it, close to the end, they just die because it doesn't have fertilizer, and we are out of rain for maybe 2 months, so it just dies by itself. But the first ones we need to kill it and drop the leaves just to start harvest. And the cotton harvest takes us about 60 days. We would like to do it in 20, but it's gonna take us a little while.
Why so many days?
Because it doesn't go fast. The machines, the combines, the cotton pickers, they ride about 2.5 miles per hour, not more than that. It's kind of slow, and it's dangerous because of fire, and so it's not easy. And then it eats a lot of land too, so that's why it takes so many days. Like in Australia, they plant, the whole country plant their cotton in 15 days, and they harvest the whole country in 20 days. And that's how we should do, but it would take us a lot of cotton pickers to do that, and they're way too expensive, so I don't think it's gonna happen too early. Those pictures I took just before I come here was this year, the last harvest. That was a new technology. It was the BT2 from the Boulder 2 for caterpillar resistance. Sorry.
So what do you do with all that cotton? I mean, do you export it to a different country, or do you guys use it in Brazil to make textiles, or what do you do?
We use it a lot in Brazil, but a lot of people, they export it. Our family, we have a very good contracts with textiles in the south. So we send, I would say like 70% of our cotton goes to Brazil, and 30% usually we export it to Pakistan.
So is it, when you harvest it, is it just dumped in a truck and hauled away, or do you compact it? Or?
Yeah, we actually, the old cotton pickers, we dump it in a truck, and then it takes so the presses are right here.
Okay.
So they makes the cotton, the bales. But John Deere came up, so this is another picture, but John Deere came up with the picker, so it's a baler. I'll show you. So here you have the bale, so it makes a round bale. So you don't need to stop to put the bale away too, so it's pretty good.
So you have to wait for it to get to a certain moisture so it isn't too wet in the bale.
Yeah. We used to harvest between 2 and 12% of moisture. After 12%, it gets too hard by the cotton gin, and you lose quality.
Okay.
But you can do it, over 12%, but we don't do it. So this is another picture of combining. That's me. That's our brand new one, 45 feet. I would like to have 10 of them. We just have one. That's my dad with our corn, how it looks like. It looks productive, but for some reason we don't get the same yield you guys get. I tried to figure out why and try to make our yield improve a little bit. And this year, there were cotton traders from Asia. They went to visit us. Some of them they've never been in a cotton field before, so they were pretty amazed with that. And this was an experiment we made. So this actually is pinot beans, like black beans, and then we left the cotton plants, and to use the cotton plant to make the beans just go on the cotton plants, but it grew too much and too fast, so we didn't get good yield. But see how the thing got high, so the beans were like this. You know, so from my farm, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna show you some pictures, some extra pictures from some agricultural groups in Brazil. That's the Amagi group. They actually, he has a cousin in both of them. They grow up almost 1 million acres of soybeans. They're huge, they're the biggest in the world. And this is the Grupo Bom Futuro, so it's his cousin, so the Blado. Those pictures were this year. They're cut, so this is cotton harvest. I don't know why they do that, but
Look nice.
yeah, they have about 500,000 acres of cotton. It's mind blowing. I think like 29 cotton pickers. And so, the future and the potential about agriculture in Brazil. We have about 40,000, 40 million acres of pasture land in Brazil, and however, 80% of it is been underused. So we have a great opportunity to improve and to have more crop production in Brazil over those pasture lands. So this is one of our next goals in the country: increase crop production over underused pasture land. And we need to talk about sustainability right now, and I think that's the future. So we need to improve our efficiency with chemicals, because we apply so many chemicals and we depend a lot of the GMO right now. So we need to try to figure out a way to do it. No-till, it's a future in Brazil. It already happens. If you go to southern Brazil, some people do no-till for 35. They've been doing for the last 35, 40 years without till at all. So, and then we call it plantio direto. We have like a term for it. Same thing for cover crops. We need to improve our use of cover crops, and we can have cover crops 100% of the time, all year long. And precision ag. This is one of the main things that made me come to the US, because we see a lot of companies, usually American companies or Canadian companies, they go a lot to Brazil and they try to work with us, but it's hard for us, because like in the US, that's a characteristic of your farmers here. You own the farm, you go on the combine, you go on the tractor. And we don't do that. We have employees. So that's hard. And we have very well qualified employees, but the thing is, they're expensive to hire. So we're trying now to make, to improve our employees' qualifications for them to deal with a GPS or a computer system, to then make that work. So that's why it's been hard in Brazil to precision ag get started like really strong. So this is one thing that I want to work with when I go back home. Give people some some training, and try to get it started. And try to improve our yields and even the sustainability of our system. That's what I had to talk to you. If you have any questions, please, you can feel free to ask.
With all those applications and stuff, how many employees does your farm operation have to keep everything going?
It's flotating, but we flotate between 180 and 240 employees, so it goes up and down. But like for the cotton gin, only for the cotton gin, we need like 50 people. So, and like the cotton gin runs 24/7, so we need 25 for the day and 25 for the night. Yeah, it's really hard. People are hard. That's why we are trying to improve our planters. We used to have like 12 planters, so we need 12 people. And this year we just have 3 to do the whole thing. So it's really big. Even the same for the combines. And we are trying to buy bigger machines and reduce the amount of people.
Any other questions to Lucas? No more questions?
Maybe the price, how does the price overall when you sell compared to the US, if you have any idea?
We take Chicago price. Our basis is Chicago, but it's a commodity. So, but because we are too far away from the port, we lose a little bit out of it. And cotton we take from New York, the New York Board of Trade. But, you know, cotton, I would say cotton is pretty stable. It doesn't go up and down a lot, but soybeans and corn, you know very well how it works.
So the employment rate in Brazil, I mean, are there people there that you can hire, they just may not be qualified, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are some people that they are not qualified, but, you know, they want to do it. And, you know, that's how we are usually doing that. We are hiring a young guy that doesn't know a lot, and then we teach him and we make him the way we want. Because, you know, that's hard. Like in Brazil, sometimes you have a qualified employee, but it's kind of old, so he has a lot of, you know, I have my way to do it, so it's kind of, so yeah, a lot of people have been doing that, like hiring young people and making them work.
How much is an acre of land worth?
How much?
Yeah.
You know, I've heard it's about the same price in Minnesota. I don't remember the number of it. I think I was talking to you, Jeff,
I
wasn't
thought
it?
you said 200.
Yeah, 200.
Did you say that?
Here it's not 200.
But here it's like 5,000.
5,000 for an acre.
Yeah.
Just a second.
Opportunity real quick.
I need to make it working.
Jeff's here.
I'll take it off.
Yeah.
For 200.
So, it's 15,000 for a hectare. So divided by 2.7, 6,000 per acre.
6,000.
Yeah, but like,
600.
Yeah. It's like,
no, 6,000. Yeah, like,
15,000. Okay.
like, you know, like good land, you know, good farms, like, you know, the farms we have around, but you can find for 1,000, well, you can find for like 250 bucks per acre, so it depends on, like, but those kind of land, like, that, you know, it costs like $6,000 for an acre,
Keep your gaze down.
people don't buy it anymore, you know, who has it, has, who doesn't, won't have it.
So Lucas, what's a small farm in Brazil? What's a small farm?
Okay.
10,000 acres?
Where, that's the thing, like if you go to southern Brazil, the average farms are about 4,000, 2,000 acres. You can go from, you know, you can have like 500 acres. But if you go like to the Midwest, like Mato Grosso, I would say like a small farm would be 2,500 acres. That's we consider like a small. He has this like a small farm.
Okay.
So like my farm is I would say like it's an average farm.
Okay.
So it's a mid farm. But some people they have like 200.
But, it has to be clear that there are lots of smallholders as well, lots of really small producers.
Yeah.
I mean, we are talking on probably 50 acres or less. There is a lot of that as well. But this is just industrial crop production.
Yeah, that's the industrial
which is
crop.
quite different. But it's similar to here, actually, proportionally speaking.
Yeah, if you go to southern Brazil, it's very similar to the U.S. Even the size of the farms, the way they work. But like when people move to the Midwest, they just work like big farms, big properties, and that's the way it works. But like our neighbors, this year they're gonna have 220,000 acres of soybeans. It was their goal. 100,000 hectares, so they're going to reach it this year. But they work like crazy. You know, they have like 4 or 6 farms around the state, so they need to have they have like an airplane to take them because it's too far away. So I don't know. I don't think that's the life I would like to have.
Okay, guys, more questions to Lucas? Well, okay, no more questions. I really appreciate you guys showing up and
Thank you very much.
those people who came from outside.